paid a courtesy visit to the President Bola Tinubu at the president. With over 56% of the votes was warmly received by President Tinubu and at the presidential villa. Ramama's years of leadership, the New Patriotic Party (NPP) and President Nana Akufo-Addo's tenure was marred with Ghana some challenges and decades, including an International Monetary Fund bailout and debt default in that country. Now, this courtesy visit by the President-elect of Ghana is providing an opportunity for the two West African leaders to discuss regional cooperation and bilateral relations and shared challenges within the sub-region here in Africa. Now, stay at the very moment of congratulations to the President-elect of Ghana, Mr. John Mahama. All right, everyone, welcome to Big Talk tonight. A lot of more concern and the recent verbal exchange between Kemi Badenoch, the Nigerian-born leader of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, and Vice President Kashim Shettima has seemingly draws into a global spotlight on the profound and delicate discussions about national identity, about the ethnic heritage, the intricate dynamics, and all of those concerns of post-colonial belonging has been pulled out of this conversation. And when you look at, from Badenoch's standpoint, the context of our statement that those are stated from the referring to herself as a Yoruba rather than a Nigerian, such a comment has largely reverberated far beyond the mere personal preference, which is trying to represent a complex narrative of historical tensions and cultural distinctions, the personal reckoning within the national identity. Our critics is fundamentally centered on the stark cultural and ideological differences she has perceived between the Yoruba people and that of the Northern people, with similar examples that have been found in other countries. And more and concerns in our own socio-political landscapes, failure at nation building, and all of this concern. And now on his part, the Vice President Kashim Shettima is trying to make a defense of the national pride by challenging Kemi to change her name if she does not want association with Nigeria. Shettima's perspective is coming from prioritizing national unity over issues of ethnic distinctions. And on this disclosure has illuminated several critical contemporary issues such as many concern about national identity and the persistent challenges of our nation. That those are really very concerned that irrespective of all the challenges we have in the country, that there's a need to continue to be patriotic, irrespective of if you're a migrant or all of those concerns, that we should continue to speak good of Nigeria. On the other hand, that those that are arguing, should we continue to speak good of the country, irrespective of the challenges, issues of insecurity, issues of unemployment, and issues of electricity worsening situations that really causing more harm to businesses and entrepreneurs in the country, and all the similar challenges. And that those are still having on the defense side, that other countries are having similar challenges, but they're not speaking ill of their country. That Nigeria, what is really the problem? Tonight on the program, I will be speaking with one who has spent over more than 2 decades of his life outside the shores of this country. He understands the popularity of what it means from the standpoint of being in the country and also having some of his lifetime spent outside this country. What does it mean to really be patriotic? When you have one who is now a citizen of another country, respective of his shared belonging to Nigeria, having assessment to the country and describing the country towards where she says that Nigeria is not in any way developing. Kemi spoke a lot of concern, has raised many issues that has really triggered a lot of reactions in the state of the nation as we speak. I'm having Mr. Femi Obere. He's a global and political public affairs analyst. He's live on the program to express some of these concerns and give us put also in perspective the comment of the vice president, the comment of Kemi, what should be the way forward in terms of having a good image for Nigeria, our country? Mr. Femi, good to have you once again, and thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
I could imagine what was going through your mind at the point where I was given an instances of what the vice president is saying and what Kemi Badenoch is really putting forward there. It looks that Kemi has continued to gather more support from Nigerian people who are also sharing on the sentiment she's raised. But on the other hand, the vice president was saying, look, irrespective of the challenges you're facing, you are demarketing the country in context of you are trying to talk down on the nation. What does the statement of Kemi really means first to us as a country, before we then put it in the context of the fact that she's speaking as a position where she is and all of this concern?
Yeah, Mike, once again, thanks for having me. Let me first of all make a general statement before we go into the specifics of what Kemi said, and also what the Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, also said, and the subsequent big birds, flying back and forth as a result of Kemi's statement, because naturally, and we can say that she was the one that fired the first salvo, if you will. Now, the general statement I want to make is that what Kemi said, actually, to me, is not new. And it is what other Nigerians have been saying all along. It is almost like it is pretty much a pastime of the Nigerians, a significant number of them, not majority per se, but a loud and significant number of Nigerians seems to take demarketing and bastardizing, abusing their country all over the place, and that has always been going on. I've never really seen the nationals of a country that has abused their country the way Nigerians abuse their country. So that's why I said it is not really new what Kemi said, because it has always been what other people have said, including, for the most part, to some of our leaders. They demarket Nigerians to either they know that or not is another matter entirely. Now, having said that, what is new, relatively speaking, is where those statements are coming from. Kemi is not an ordinary foreign and Nigerian-born British citizen. She's occupying a very important political position in the governance system, if you will, of the British people. And that, to me, is why there have been all these back and forth and all of that. Otherwise, it is something that will have been, ignored for the most part. Now, coming to the specifics of what she said, and also what the vice president said, the Kemi actually, it's not a question of whether what she said was right or what she said was wrong. She said some things that we all know for a fact, and corruption, Nigeria not developing the way it should have developed, and a Nigerian being behind the 8 ball, if you will, of a development, despite the abundant resources, human and material resources that actually, for the most part, are the envy of so many countries around the world. Yet we still have these clay feet. So, saying that to say that, yes, she said the things that we all know. But the question is, should she have gotten into a situation where she openly demarketed her country? And the answer, it seems to me, no, she shouldn't. Why? Because a portion of her status, because like I said, she's very important, a portion of her status has different channels by which to reach the Nigerian leaders about the things that bothers her, and suggesting the way that they could see reason in what she said. But for her not to have done that, and she just took off and she just flew off the handle and actually saying all kinds of things and derogatory things and demarketing a country, to me, is over the top. She shouldn't have done that. And it's unfortunate that day that she did, because even her constituency, and that is the British citizen, that perhaps she's trying to pandle to, because of the fact that she's ambitious to become the next conservative prime minister, may be seeing her in a different light, because there is hardly any individual who ascended to a position of power around the world that did this kind of demarketing the way Kemi did. Obama was there as the president of the United States. He did not. Recently, Sunak, the former immediate past prime minister of Britain, he's from India, for God's sake. He did not. And the fact of the matter is that no nation is perfect. Every nation is still a work in progress. America is not perfect. Britain is not perfect, and there's so many things that happen in Britain that's enough to even say, wait a minute, is this where they're calling the developed country? So she shouldn't have said that, like I said. But then the vice president, in his own case, yes, he's right to defend the country, words and all. And we have the responsibility to defend the country in the outside world. We can come inside and be haggling with ourselves and be abusing each other, but when it comes to the outside world, we need to actually coalesce. We need to actually band it about and actually defend this country no matter what. And this is what it seems to me the vice president is trying to do by saying, you know what, if you are so angry about your country, you might as well just take Kemi out of your name. But even if you take Kemi out of your name, does that stop you from being recognized as a Nigerian? No. So it is so unfortunate that we are having this kind of a controversy, which to me shouldn't have been needed at all.
I mean, Mr. Femi, one of the good things of our globalization is that it tries to connect many countries together, irrespective of the region, the rich. Whatever happens in this other country, whatever happens here, is also to the light and of everyone. When you look at recurrent events in these nations, that those are really forced to ask, are we progressing? That as long as we want to protect the image of the country, as long as we want to guide our sovereignty, as long as we want to say, look, we have to be patriotic in all contexts, that those are few that event that sometimes happens in this country is not just to the eyes of Nigerians alone, that it is still on the eyes of the world, just as many events unfolding in the other countries and all of that, because of the context of globalization, is trying to bring all of this to the notice of everyone. Isn't it time and right that we have a different approach in addressing these issues, other than trying to say, be patriotic, do not see this, do not do that, just as you're sharing today?
Well, patriotism actually comes in different guises. Even with what Kemi said, one can still argue the fact that there's an element of patriotism in it. Because it is not when you praising a country, it is not when you sound patronizing that you can be considered to be patriotic.
But that's what happens over here.
Where you can be so mad at your country and point out some things that the country is doing and what it should not have been, what it should not have done, and still be considered patriotic. So, Kemi's statement, if you really look deeper into what she said, the ones she said and the one she did not say, Kemi herself is a victim. We can even say that Kemi herself is crying out for help, because there are some things that are embedded in our subconscious that are not good, that is trying to find an outlet for. And so in order to find that outlet, then she now lashes out. So you can even say that she's pretty much a victim of circumstance. So that's one thing. But another thing is that, yes, if the vice president says, it's not a question of if, the vice president said what he needed to say, yes, it is also considered patriotic because of the fact that no matter what your country is going through, you still have to believe in that country, because it is the only country you have. Don't forget that I said earlier that any countries, whatever level they are in the developmental trajectory, is still a work in progress. And the life of an individual is quite different from the life of a nation. An individual, if he doesn't get his act together in terms of doing the right thing and blah, 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 maximum of 95 years, and even, let's say, max of 100 years, he will check out and leave the stage and leave the world. But a country is not like that. A country will still exist in perpetuity, 200 years, 500 years, even 1,000 years. So yes, we have a reason to be annoyed that we are not where we're supposed to be, whereas we're supposed to have been, we're supposed to have transcended this particular position at this point in time. But it is what it is. We, despite the fact that yes, we think and we believe that we should be an El Dorado by now, but it's not happening. Why? Because some things are not just in place when it comes to putting the right peg in the right hole and all of that. But the fact that some things are not in place in terms of putting the round peg in the round hole doesn't justify you to start condemning your country, because if it doesn't happen today, it can happen tomorrow, so to speak.
All right, because from the position of who this statement is really coming from is really of utmost importance to us, because it speaks to the generality of the people. How do they perceive Nigeria before these comments and backlash from Kemi?
Who? You mean
How do
us?
the people of outside perceive Nigeria?
You see, that's the paradox in this kind of situation, in the sense that people see a future in the outsiders, that is. They actually see tremendous future in this country. But unfortunately, we do not see a future in this country. And that's the paradox that we're talking about here. Yes, we don't have good electricity, no potable water for the most part, and blah, blah, blah. But they see, the outsiders see what we do not see. Just like and that's because we take a lot of things for granted as Nigerians, as indigenes or citizens of a particular society. And we can make the same case that those of us that travels outside of Nigeria, immediately we arrive there, we see so many things, see so many opportunities that even the citizens do not see, and that's because they take things for granted. It's the same way around the world. So Nigeria, to me, like I said, I'll keep repeating it, is a work in progress. If you are not experiencing development now, yes, there's reason to be bitter, but that doesn't mean that in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, all this thing will not turn around, that you'll be wondering, How come? How did it happen? So that's why I said the life of an individual is quite different from the life of a nation. So we should continue on that on this work. And for Kemi to say that she's done with Nigeria since she's Yoruba, she doesn't have anything in common with the Northerners, outside, blah blah blah. To me, it's just over the top. That's just way beyond her ken. She shouldn't, in the kind of position she is. You need to be diplomatic sometimes about the things that you say.
It really looks more concerned because, irrespective of the fact that we are having all of these challenges, if we begin to look at the issues of unemployment and all of those concerns, really affecting the majority of many Nigerians. That those are really speaking to the institutions we have in this country. It looks at every time where we have similar cases, just as Kemi shared clear example of his experience with the police. For instance, he met cases of issues he had. I mean, the mishandled approach of the police and all of those concerns, which he was making comparison to what happens to the British police. How can you make such comparison? And those I said, you can't even get to making such comparison and all of that. Institutions in Nigeria looks at, instead of us to move, irrespective of the challenge you're having, find these issues of corruption, these issues of unemployment and all of those things. But can't our institutions work? Because we can't talk of building this nation or this country without first getting to address the issues of our institutions. Are you bothered about the current state of our institutions, or how do we even get here?
Well, that's another loaded question, Mike. You see, I think there's a saying in among the Igbo people that in order to understand your situation, you first of all have to understand when the rain started beating you. And what that means, in my own view, is to have a very graphic understanding as to how we got here, just like you said. How we got here can be talked about from here until eternity. But the key is, do we concentrate on how we get here, or we concentrate on the solution, regardless of how we got here? I would say, and I would wager that we concentrate on the solution, regardless of how we get. That is not to say that we shouldn't understand how we got here too, because a people that doesn't have a good understanding of its history is probably going to get lost at some point. Yes, the thing of it is, Nigerian, or they say, don't ever pray that to have Nigeria to happen to you. But there are so many people that Nigeria has happened to. But the difference is how they took it. Some people will take it and say, you know what, I'm out of here. I don't even want to be bothered with it. And before you know it, they japa. Some people will take the same unpleasant situation and say, look, I'm going to contribute my own quota to development of this country with the hope that I can change one or two things. Yes, you mentioned the fact that I live the majority of my productive life in the U.S., or almost 20 years before I came back. And I've seen situations where there was an accident from Lokoja to Abuja, an accident, and people died, actually. It was very graphic to me, and I got out and I started removing bodies from the boys that somersaulted and all of that. It took some time before the police came, and when the police came too, they were just so lackadaisical and directing traffic and all of that. You think that they should actually jump into the situation rather than be directing traffic and all of that. And could you believe that even in that setup where people gathered and mourning and all of that, some people were stealing phones. They were stealing the people who are already in pain. They were stealing their phones, searching their bags for money and all of that. So, I mean, this thing was a very, very bad experience to me, that I could have said, you know what, this is the hellhole, you know. But I didn't say that. I came with the understanding and with the knowledge that, you know what, I'm leaving my comfort zone over there. I am coming back to contribute my own quota. Whether or not I'm going to make a difference, it doesn't matter. But at least I will step back at some point in time and say, you know what? I also try my best. So Kemi shouldn't be trying to tell people that Nigeria is this, Nigeria. Yes, if she decides that she doesn't want to have anything to do with Nigeria, it's tough luck. But I can bet you that at some point, she will get to realize that she made a mistake. Because even as a British citizen, there's a level that you can get. You can be a prime minister, don't get me wrong, but it will come to a situation where even the citizens of that country will tell you, you know what, you are not part of us. And you might as well start thinking about where you come from. But by that time, she had already borne her breeches, and all of that. So I hope that she can actually retrace her step. It is, they say that some things are better left unsaid. It is not everything that you see that you more so as a woman of her stature. Like I said, she has so many back channels that she can reach our leaders. And perhaps if she says one or two things to them, they'll say, okay, fine, we'll take this up, or please, can you help us with this kind of situation? But for her to now go all the way and be lashing out, it's just, to me, it's over the top, as I said earlier.
Well, we'll still be finding solutions to all of this, but everyone, let's get to go on a very quick break, and once we return from the break, what should be the way forward in projecting Nigeria on the better light in terms of imaging? What can we do? And what then should government start doing? Because it looks that when we look at issues within the country, that those are really having a concern that majorly government has a role to play. But individuals, citizens also have a role to play in terms of getting this country's image working. We've seen high level of brain drain hitting the country. How can we begin to tackle all of that? It looks that it's still a major concern in the nations. If Vice President Shettima is saying to Kemi, you don't have to say all of that, we are well